Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. Happy New Year, first of all. Second of all, as some of you might have noticed, I'm once again filming under artificial lights. It's been solid overcast here all week, and I don't have the money to rent a studio, so this is what you're getting. I'm sorry if it looks a little bad, but oh well, stuff like that happens. And thirdly, as some of you might have noticed from the title at least, and maybe even from the description if you read into it, this will not be a typical review, this will be a Q&A. And all of the Qs will come from Eden Solera's Twitter account. Eden Solera is another person in the writing community on Twitter, and every month they, I assume she, but to be certain, but to be safe, I'll just say they, um, uh, post almost daily questions on their YouTube account, generally around a theme. The theme for this month, January, is main character, and I thought I would answer those from the perspective of one of my main characters. The character in question being Marius. He was a secondary character in in my first book, so I'm gonna answer, and within the sequel, which I'm currently working on, he ascends to main character status. And it is from that perspective that I'm going to answer these questions, or not all of them, as many as I can in 15 minutes. So, start and let's get going. To start, introduce your MC by name and physical appearance. Well, I already said his name. It's Marius, full name Marius Alighieri. No, he does not have a middle name, or at least I didn't settle on one. And as for his physical appearance, well, he's platinum blonde, vibrant green eyes, sharp features, about 4 inches taller than me. That's kind of how you should picture him. Okay, next question. How old is your MC? Early 30s. I'll say 32. Does their age have any prominent effect on the story / how they behave / how they view events? Well, his backstory requires him being alive at the time of the backstory empire, so yeah, that's a thing. Another thing that influences my choice for his age is also the fact that he has some kind of a relation to the antagonists of the WIP, or work in progress. So yeah, that's basically the influence and importance there. What is your main character's attitude towards their story? Do they enjoy it, want to be involved in whatever is going on, or do they hate it and wish their life would go back to normal? With Marius' life, nothing is normal. Or let's put it this way: he's a special agent, so pretty much whatever he does is just weird and sometimes fascinating. His role within this story, where he's about to be written in, is or his attitude towards it is, okay, this is something that needs to be done. This is an opportunity that me and people I've worked with have been crafting, and it's time to utilize it. Or alternatively, this could be the point where they go, okay, things can't get any worse. It's time for that thing we started working on to get activated, even if it's not entirely ready. As I said, work in progress. I'm still trying to figure it out. What kind of conflicts does your main character face throughout the story? Moral, physical, or philosophical? Well, most of it is going to be physical, because there are going to be a lot more action scenes in this book than in its predecessor. But a lot of them will be moral as well, because Marius will be facing people he was not necessarily close to, but towards whom he's had some level of respect and attention. Okay, next one. What was your main character's childhood like? He was part of a super soldier program, so his childhood basically consisted of basically consisted of daily military drills on the hour every hour. Or okay, maybe not exactly that, but still close enough to that that it kind of takes weird tolls and weird influences on him. Do they generally look back on it fondly? Not really. Or are they more glad relieved it's over? They are relieved it's over, but they're in a sense glad. But Marius is in a sense glad it's happened because now he knows a lot about procedures and what it is that he actually uh, wants to do with his life. So yeah, it's generally an abusive system, but in a weird way, in a very weird way, what he's learned despite his abuse is still helpful to him. If that makes sense. Okay, I lost the question here. Okay, back on track. Is your main character married? No. If so, if not. Okay, if not, do they want to get married and or have kids in the future? He's asexual. I haven't decided if he's aromantic, so yeah, make of that what you will. In other words, this still goes on a work in progress. Does your main character have any hobbies? He generally likes to play various card games because, as I said, he was part of a super soldier program, so he grew up around military personnel. A lot of their games, a lot of card games, a lot of gambling was something that was adjacent to him. So that particular influence kind of grafted itself onto him, in a sense. Next up, how comfortable is your main character around strangers? Quite comfortable, actually. Do they find it easy to talk to people they've never met, or are they more shy and uncertain? He actually finds it relatively easy. He also works as an intelligence officer, and that job pretty much requires him to be involved with many different kinds of people and with many different kinds of influences, and be able to convince others that he knows what he's talking about, and to also involve himself within a lot of operations with various people he often has never met, and he has to whip them into shape pretty quickly, or rely on them that they will do what is necessary in in a given situation. Is your main character a good leader? Yeah, I like to think so, and actually there are plenty of examples in the first book where maybe not plenty of examples, but there is one specific scenario with various instances where Marius shows himself to be a capable leader. He recognizes the situation. He can break it down and analyze it soon enough. He knows how and how to delegate, and how to select among his subordinates for who is the most capable and who is the most reliable. So I will say not only is he has proven that he is. Are they confident? Yes, regardless of whether or not they're good at it. Well, Marius is also good at it, as I hope I will have displayed. And he mainly approaches it from a confident position, I'll say. Next question. How well does your main character take direction from others? Well, as I said, grew up in a super soldier program. He is capable of doing so. Whether or not he does it very well or very enthusiastically is a different question. And I think it also depends on how he sees the instructions that have been given to him. Also, whether or not he thinks that which he has been ordered to do is also something that he finds it necessary. He finds necessary to do within that given situation. So yeah. And do they struggle with authority, or are they able to recognize when someone else knows best? He doesn't struggle with authority in general, but he struggles with dumb fuck authority. So if you're telling him that he should obey you just because you're in charge, you're barking up the wrong tree. If he might do it, but he'll do it in such a way that it counts as malicious compliance, or that it could generously be described as malicious compliance. Maybe he'll bend over backwards to do it in such a way that it actively harms what you were actually trying to do. That is something that he could do. Alternatively, he could ignore your order altogether and just do whatever he thinks would be the best thing to do, because he trusts his judgment. Let's say it like that. But they are capable of recognizing when someone else gives them gives them instructions that make sense, and even if they aren't really the things he would do, he would recognize that he generally can recognize that whatever is suggested instead is actually better. Generally, he does have his moments where ego takes over. Okay, next up. How strictly does your main character obey laws or rules? He has a healthy respect for them, as in he can recognize when they are necessary, and he recognizes when they can most effectively be broken in order to accomplish their goals. Think about it as following the spirit of the law rather than the letter of the law. That is kind of his shtick. Are they willing to break them in certain situations? Yes, as I've already explained. And if so, which situations? That I cannot say. It mostly depends on. But I can tell you what the situations where he does break them have in common. Namely, when he recognizes that the rules as they are would be ineffective, or would not. Sorry. Or will not really yield the results they were meant to do, or if it is somehow, this happens rarely. But if he finds out that the rules would harm the people that he wants to protect, or that he is supposed to protect, then he will also work against them. Though he might not if the situation around him is constructed or set up in such a way that he is better off following them. So he has somewhat of a heart, but not that much, if that makes sense. Okay, next question. How does your Emcee feel about lying? Emcee is main character. Well, as I said, Marius is an intelligence officer, so lying is sometimes necessary within his field of operations. Can they tolerate people lying to them? Mostly he can. He'll be annoyed that he fell for it, not that he was lied to. Most of the time. Are they willing to lie to others? Very much so. The real question would be, who are those others he is lying to? He doesn't find it harder to lie to his friends. As in it's not physically harder, but it is to some extent emotionally harder for him. Not necessarily because he doesn't want to lie to them, but because he has to do it in such a way that they don't get it, and that is something he finds a little bit harder to do. Okay, next question. Where was I? Okay, next question. Is your Emcee easily influenced by others? No, for the most part, Marius is very. I'm not gonna say stoic, but he is resistant to. Change. More precisely, he is resistant to change he does not recognize as necessary. Let's put it like that. So if he is influenced in some way, he kind of has to agree with that influence, and he doesn't just agree. And then he doesn't agree with it just because he has to agree with it for a larger goal or a more important goal, and that is something. And convincing him of his goal, of that goal, is something that is a bit more, let's say, complicated than just hey, do this. Yeah, okay. Are they stubborn, or are they stubbornly locked into their own opinions, beliefs? Well, he's not. He's not locked into them. If he is flexible enough to where he'll notice that if something can be improved with a difference, he will adopt that difference. If he also agrees with the improvement, that is another thing. And what looks to be the yeah, okay, this really is the last question for now at least. Maybe I'll get back to this. I'll get back to Eden's Twitter at the end of the month. Is your main character at all artistic? If so, what types of art do they enjoy and/or create themselves? Again, I haven't really figured. I haven't really figured all the details out, but my initial idea is that Marius himself doesn't really doesn't really participate in any artwork. Though I do see him as a tad flamboyant, and I do see him as kind of being kind of a showboater when he fights. So he might be more inclined to kind of I don't know twirl or jump in a very particular eye-catching way, or something else along those lines. Maybe because he wants to dazzle his opponent, maybe because he wants to make himself happy. Who knows? All answers are possible. So you could kind of say he's into performance art, maybe. And yeah, the timer isn't out yet, but will be soon enough, so I'm just gonna stop it right there. And as I said, I'm done with the questions for now. I might just come back to Eden Solera at the end of the at the end of the month and answer the rest of the questions. And again, featuring Marius because, well, I don't know, he is going to be one of my main characters, and I want to spotlight him. Anyway, that was it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please leave a like to this video and maybe even share it wherever you think other people will like it as well. If you have anything you would like to add to what I've said, the comment section awaits your input. And if you want to see when my next video will come out, then please subscribe. Ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My own book, Heir to the Empire, The Next Generation, is available at various major retailers, a master link to which you will find in the description down below. Until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.